They're a couple of years off, I think. They need stability. United needs stability. They need to be able to this season bring in a striker, bring in a goalkeeper, get the players in Ten Hag wants to play his way, get the team comfortably as a squad playing Ten Hag's way of football.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's when you can go, right, let's get better players now across the board, all playing my way, so we can make subs and stuff, and off you go.
Mm-hmm. So,
and then I think then they'll have that chance.
Yeah, so just on that, let's assume that, as you say, stability, whatever, and let's say that, 3 years, maybe 4 years pass, so bear in mind the player ages, and let's say, as I say, you got those 3 signings in that we talked about before. Now, look at that United starting 11 in your head, think about them 3 or 4 years older in their current state.
Yes.
He's got his eyes closed and everything, having a proper thing.
I'm thinking.
Now, go through that squad and name me the players you think would be good enough to start in a Premier League 11, which would take City to the or whoever by that point to like the final day of the season. How many of those players?
Well, this is also going off future players as well, though.
Well, it will, but this is a two-pronged question because the first question is who is good enough, and then the second question is, well, these players aren't good enough, so who's going to be in? So let's start with who is currently good enough based on 3 or 4 years in the future.
Is this minus what we've just done, the transfers, or is it if the transfers do happen?
In addition to Costa, Mount.
Oh, right, okay. So
Højlund.
I would say Højlund would be good enough. But you'd hope so. Costa, yeah. So those signings.
Yeah.
I think Anthony will, once he's got a full team of players playing his way. Rashford will.
Yeah.
I think. But if we're thinking 4 years, there'll be a replacement for Casemiro somewhere.
Okay.
Martinez. So you're looking at 50% of the team.
Yeah.
That he could potentially have.
Bruno Fernandes.
How old would he be then? 31.
I think he'd be all right.
Yeah, I think he'd be all right. Yeah. And Bruno. So you're looking at 4 years time. Then you're looking at what 3 or 4 players.
Luke Shaw.
That you need to fill in. Luke Shaw. He'd be 30 as well. Potentially.
He'd be in his peak.
He might be okay. He'd be most likely. But you see, I think that shows that when you think of it that way, you're looking at. It's more like I said at the start. It's more of the depth they need.
Mm-hmm.
You could play a team like they had. What was that? They had over Christmas. They had that really good unbeaten run, but you can see it coming to an end because the players were dead. There was no subs you can make because there is literally no subs. If you're need to attack and you're battering a team, Eriksen can't play 90 minutes. He's dead on his feet at 75 minutes. Gone. Oh, okay. Let's bring Fred on. No, it doesn't work like that. So they're the issues. So that's where the issues are. But I think. Certain positions you don't know about, like Delo's just signed a new contract. Is he good enough? I don't know because he's not had a clear, proper chance. He's had the odd game rather than a clear run in that position.
Yeah,
I think another centre back is definitely within 4 years.
Right centre half, yeah.
So because Kim Min Jae was meant to happen, but clearly United are too busy dicking about with ownership that they're not going to get him.
Yeah.
So another centre back, that's a definite, and another holding midfielder.
Yeah.
Is going to be needed at some point. They're going to need, and then the depth, I would say.
Okay.
In terms of lineup, I would say in 4 years after what we've just done, I would say 3 players, probably 3 players.
Yeah.
In terms of lineup wise, but then the rest of it's the bench when you sign.
Yeah. Well, depth tends to be easier to sort out than the starting 11. So
it's because the starting 11 goes to depth, doesn't it? Usually.
Yeah. So for argument's sake, let's say that your depth is acceptable and reasonable and it's fine. So in terms of the starting 11, it sounds like we're actually pretty close. So
they are. It's just getting them all in sync.
Yeah, of course. So in terms of the actual positions, we've identified long term, like 3 or 4 years down the line, right back, which I agree with because unless Wan-Bissaka, Wan-Bissaka isn't good enough to. I don't think he's going to make it.
He's very similar to your arguments with Gabriel at Arsenal. He's not good enough. He's not bad. He's just not the end product that you need.
Yeah.
And then Delo won't show up. Right back's an unsure situation because there was rumours that they were just in that Frimpong at Leverkusen, and he'd be perfect for the way they want to play. So potentially there. A right centre back.
Yeah.
So basically that right side of defence.
Yeah.
He's going to need
exactly. Yeah. A defensive midfielder because Casemiro will be like getting on by them.
34, 35.
Yeah. He can go to the bench, for rotation. And then, did you say Mason Mount would be good enough or no?
Oh, I didn't mention it, did I? Oh. Again, that's another one. It's like with Delo, I don't know. It's a tough one to shout because
Probably not. Then
he'd be 27. He'd be his prime. But is he good enough? Is he good enough on? I think that his effort lies, his actual his work rate and stuff's fine for an 8. He's perfect. It's just his ability on the ball to play 8. He doesn't have that kind of ability.
Yeah.
So potentially he does feel like a stopgap in a way. It's someone who can just play that role because no one else. Who else could you get? Type thing.
Yeah.
But
he can be good depth at that point.
Oh no, exactly. He'd be perfect depth at that point.
Yeah. Absolutely. So to be fair, actually, as I say, if we assume those 3 signings come in, only 4 of the starting 11 we've established probably aren't good enough. So that means over the course of 3 or 4 seasons, if you can bring in those 3 or 4 players, an average of 1 fantastic player a season, assuming that
and keep hold.
Exactly.
Because bear in mind, you're not winning the title.
No, of course, yeah. So there's a lot of imagination going on here. But if we assume the likes of Martinez, Fernandez, etc., all stay, that's not actually too unreasonable.
It's not. I don't think they're in a too bad the position. My worry is that right now you can go and sign these players. They still need to sign players for the lineup. That's my concern. But then players that you're replacing aren't good enough for the bench. Like the striker position, they'll have 0. They'll have no players there. So you're going to have to throw money at getting someone in anyway to start. But then you're going to have to do someone on the bench. You've still got no bench player there, which means then you're still going to have to mess about Rashford and mess about his position. Whereas I think Rashford's a left winger. I don't think he's a striker at all.
I agree.
Whereas he's going to have to go and play 9 at some point because the striker's not going to play every minute. So you end up in these situations still, and then these players playing all over the place.
Yeah.
But like wings, they're fine. Like Garnacho's could be an amazing player in the future. And, and that's sub players again. And, if Sancho stays, for example. So that their positions are fine. It's just getting, like Fred was a signing Mourinho didn't even want it anyway.
Yeah.
So why would he be assigning that to I wants? And he's still sat there. So it's a lot of work's needed.
My theory on Fred is that City were in for him at one point. We sent like scouts to Shakhtar and stuff, and the idea was that he was going to be Fernandinho's replacement or something, even though he's not a defensive midfielder. But that was the
that was a good get out of jail card for you there.
Yeah, well, and then they gave up their interest, and then my theory is that United went, oh well, City was sort of in for him, so he must be all right. Let's go sign him.
Oh God, no! Honestly, it would not have surprised me. It would not surprise me, right? If all the City scouts and stuff were sitting around and it was just Ed Woodward behind a newspaper, just looking over at the back, like, who are they speaking to?
Yeah, but then
me.
City realise what they're doing, so they feed like shit. It's like, we're interested in Harry Maguire. Yeah, oh Fred. Oh Alexis Sanchez. So yeah, that's my theory.
Wouldn't surprise me.
So we've established United aren't challenging next season, but they might do in the future. So just very briefly on next season, who, if anyone, will, or even if like not actually, who's got the best chance? Let's assume that they all have decent transfer windows. They all say 3 or 4 good players. Which club do you reckon would be in the best place to properly challenge City? Again, assuming City will challenge, but I'm assuming they will.
It's very tough. It's just off the top of my head, just trying to think of who would be even close. You'd have to on paper now. You'd have to say Arsenal. Like, I don't think there's anyone else. Like Liverpool potentially, but
yes, if they sort themselves out,
they're replacing people. They're replacing players, and they're bringing in young players, which is great. But I think they're coming to a position where their defense is going to be an issue again, because Robertson wasn't great. Trent's a liability defensively. Van Dijk's been a bit, even for Holland, he's
shaky,
bit iffy. Yeah, and then Kanate, okay, he's one for the future as well, but that could be their issue again. Is defensively, so that's a strange one. Tottenham, no, we just won't speak about them. Chelsea, you just don't know. Chelsea, they're just going to throw 11 players on the pitch and just hope for the best. I think they've got the right manager for them. A young manager who wants to play modern football. And if it hits the ground running, there's no reason why not they can't challenge. But it's hard to call when you've got so many new players. Yeah. So I'd have to say Arsenal out of everyone.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that assuming transfer windows go well, I think that Liverpool are probably in the best position if they sort themselves out, because I think Klopp is the best manager of anyone who's not there. I think that, look, this was a really bad season for Liverpool, but like they're worse than 7 years. In fairness, they're only 4 points off top four, I think.
And so, the second half of the season was much better.
Yeah, and a lot of those players were playing below the level that we know they are capable of. Also, I think Nunez will be better next year. It was his first season. They do need 2 centre-backs, I think, just for depth, and also, you know, Van Dijk, less said the better. We know the central midfield issue. They've signed McAllister, very good signing. Probably need another 2 central players there. So they are, if they get those 3, 4, 5 good players in, I think they'll be in the best position because Klopp is the best manager. They've got experience of winning the league before, experience of challenging City before. So that, for me, is probably maybe the safest bet. But as I say, totally depends on the transfer window and what happens.
I mean, if Arsenal get get Rice in and get other players that they're interested in, there's no reason why they won't be sticking around either.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.